When I posted my video about Shel Silverstein recently, a lot of people in the comments said they were actually surprised to find out that he was a man, Shel being kind of a feminine name, which is interesting because one of the most successful mainstream songs that he ever wrote was one about a boy who grew up with a girl's name and the hardship that it brought him. A song that would become a massive hit for one of the biggest artists of all time. This is the story of Johnny Cash and a boy named Sue. The inspiration for the song originally came from his friend Gene Shepherd, the guy who would later write A Christmas Story. Gene had long complained about growing up with a feminine sounding name, and Shel, who could kind of identify with this, spun it into a full-blown tale of revenge and reconciliation. By 1969, Johnny Cash was in need of fresh material. The year before, he delivered his iconic performance at Folsom Prison and was preparing for a follow-up show at San Quentin. He was at a transformative time in his career, and when June Carter became familiar with Shel Silverstein's work, she suggested to Johnny that he cover A Boy Named Sue, because on the surface, it was just a novelty song, which is what Shel meant it to be. But this story of toughness born from pain was very similar to Johnny's own mythology. It starts with some basic context. The narrator's dad left when he was young, but not before he decided to name him Sue. He then had to spend his life defending himself from bullies, essentially, because he had this girl's name. Later, he runs into his father at the bar and challenges him to a fight as revenge, and they proceed to beat the hell out of each other until the father stops and says, "I named you that because I knew I wasn't going to be around to help you get tough." The son forgives him, calls him Pa, and away they go, but at the end he does state this is not a choice he's going to be making for his own son. When both Shel and Johnny performed it, they really leaned into the humor of the song. But there's a lot going on in this story, and no, I'm not overthinking it. This is Shel Silverstein. It makes you think about gender standards and the concept of acceptable bullying for the sake of toughness, and the value of toughness, a father's responsibility to his children, and the driving power of revenge. Johnny debuted the song on February 24th, 1969 at San Quentin Prison. He had barely rehearsed it and had to read from a lyric sheet throughout the performance. What could have been a shaky experiment ended up being one of the most iconic moments of his career. And when Columbia released the live version of the song, A Boy Named Sue became a massive hit. It climbed up to #1 on the country charts and #2 on the pop charts, making it one of Johnny Cash's biggest mainstream hits. People responded to this unique blend of toughness, humor, and intellect. This one made you think. For Shel, the success of the song was totally unexpected but delightful, and it marked a high point in Johnny Cash's late 60s resurgence and showed a very different side of him, something more sensitive, without losing all the rebellious nature that made him an outlaw.